isn't that I'm such a silver bug. I'm a silver bug because that's what history teaches. It's not that I decided, silver's the greatest thing out there. No, people have voted through thousands of years of what the best money is. The argument that money could be anything is true. But if you look at what the vote has been, the vote is overwhelmingly silver and gold. That's the vote. That's the real democracy, if you will. That's the lesson to be learned here. The vote through history is that those two metals, beyond anything else, have served their purpose as money more than anything you can name by far. And if you look even deeper, silver has done so far more than gold.
As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
About the fact that things are not right, that there's, food problems, energy problems, unfairness in the system, again, throughout the political system, different political systems that are failing. So it's not just capitalism. And the word on capitalism is, capitalism is a pretty awesome idea. We ought to try it sometime. I mean, one of the points of the movie is we haven't had true capitalism in a very, very, very long time. Certainly there are areas here and there where you'll find what I would consider to be true capitalism in the system, but that's rare. I mean, most of the time there's regulation upon regulation upon regulation. It's very difficult to get started. There's an onerous fee that's required for you to start up, and you're not able to perform in, let's say, a true free market condition. So capitalism is getting blamed for this mess, yet we've been moving more and more towards socialism since basically the FDR era. And as more and more socialism has taken place, the system has started to unwind more and more. But there's no ideology that's perfect. History's shown that as well. And I think the movie is clear on that. The movie doesn't give a whole lot of solutions. It gives a whole lot of questions that people should ask themselves and determine for themselves what the best solution is. I mean, some people adhere to a political ideology without even knowing that ideology is just that the reality is something that is very, very far away from that ideology.
Well, there was a big emphasis in the movie also on conquest and terrorism, and when we tie it back with precious metals, what do perpetual wars and empires and conquests and terrorism have to do with real wealth, such as precious metals?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I've just did a series with, or I should say series, but a mastermind interview with Foster Gamble, who was key with his whole team of doing the movie Thrive. And in the prelude to that, he talked about this Gold Warriors book. It's about Yamashita's gold, which is something I'd always kind of put off as possibly a fiction. But whether or not that's fiction or not, I don't know. What I do know is that, especially after reading the book, is that a lot of the untold story about conquest is that gold is something sought after when the nation's being conquered. You look at the World War II, you look at a lot of wars throughout history, and even though you don't get it directly out of the history books, one of the main bounties that is taken is gold. So certainly, even though gold gets a short shrift throughout the financial press and the mainstream, and a lot of the mainstream talks about it being a barbarous relic and that it has no meaning and that, we're beyond it and on, the truth of the matter is most of these wars, when a nation, state, country, city, what have you, is conquered, they're looking for gold. I mean, you have to look at the Ukraine recently to see that that's true. I mean, Ukraine has had all kinds of upheaval. And what's gone? Oh, the gold's gone. Isn't that interesting? So that's part, I think the movie made a big deal out of that aspect. But since you asked me the question, I wanted to emphasize that.
Another mega trend in the movie was about at the late stage of empires, people searching after all kinds of worthless directions for purpose and for meaning and for distraction and that sort of thing. And you had a provocative quote in the movie that was, you can never get enough of what you don't need. And at first that sounds a bit like an oxymoron, but could you take us a little bit deeper into what you meant by that?
Yeah, sure. It's they really liked that when I made that statement. But backing you up and myself, the idea that you're going to get satisfaction, I think, on a deeper level, it's probably a spiritual need that's innately human. But then you get into the God, no God argument. And I don't really want to go there. But what I do want to emphasize, purely a secular perspective, would be humans have certain needs. And so that is, you have a need to eat, you have a need for water, you have a need to breathe, and those are about as basic as you could get. And once those are satisfied, using the Maslow pyramid, you have needs beyond those, and you have a need for affection, you have a need for being liked, and there's all these other needs. Well, when you get to the stages that we're at, where there's very much an undertone of uncertainty, there's an uncertainty about government, there's an uncertainty about the financial markets, there's an uncertainty about the ecological system, and we're seeing collapse throughout the food system with the GMO foods and what the amount of poison in the system is. We see the air quality being corrupted as well. You see the water quality being corrupted as well. The very basics, those three that are needed by all humans, regardless of their perspective, are being corrupted, they're being polluted. And so people start looking not only at that or beyond that, they look for answers. So they look to things that they think will bring them meaning. And what the movie pointed out very early on is near the top, before the collapse, is that food becomes a very important thing for the elites and everybody else. Food's important. The point the movie made was that you see a worship of chefs, a worship of the culinary arts. And I thought that was fascinating because I didn't know that. And you look no further than your satellite TV, and I'm not familiar with all these, but I know some of the basics. But there's like Iron Chef, and there's a lot of food channel things that have to do with food and preparing food and gourmet food, and chefs competing against each other, and drive-in diners and dives I'm familiar with from one of my friends that actually watches that show quite a bit. And on it goes. So I thought, wow, you're just seeing, again, history rhyme here or history repeat here. So you can only, you only need so many calories per day. I mean, you can't get enough of what you don't need. Means that, as an example, just using food as maybe a corny example, excuse the pun, that you need to eat, but you don't need to have these super exotic meals on a daily basis. It's not what your body needs. Your body just needs a certain amount of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. And yet we go to these extremes. So they're looking for meaning in something where the meaning is meaningless. I mean, let's just take the thought experiment where things get very basic overnight and you can't get those very, elaborate meals. Your body really isn't going to know the difference as long as it's getting what it needs. So you can't get enough of what you don't need. It means you're looking at these extremes, looking at it in, entertainment. I mean, look at what the entertainment industry has done in my lifetime. I mean, if you go back to when I was a kid, and you saw a violent movie, you'd see, cowboys and Indians and the Lone Ranger. Yeah, they were shooting guns and there were arrows flying around, and that was violence, still is. But that's nothing compared to some of these movies now where these heroes or anti-heroes, have these massive weapons and go in and just, annihilate, hundreds of people or thousands. It's just, it's insane. So the general idea, I'll try to sum it up here and not get too much longer-winded, is that because it's like drugs, the satisfaction levels, that you can't satisfy something that is not a core thing that is an actual human need. You continue to go up the scale, so you need more and more and more of it. You need more violence in the movie system, as an example. You need more gourmet food. You need more, let's say, kinkier sex. I mean, you need all these things that are not needed, thinking that they will not bring you what you truly need. And what we really, truly need, in a lot of ways, is we need truth. We need leaders that tell us the truth. We need the truth about what's in our food. We need the truth about what's in our water. We need the truth about what's in the air. We need the truth about how broke these nations are. We need answers. We need solutions. We need people willing to stand up and tell it like it is. And that's partly what this movie's done. It's done kind of a broad brush and some specifics on the truth. And this is something we're only getting done again from people like you that do the alternative media. If you go to the mainstream media, all you're going to get is an entertainment thing, and they're going to take these real-world problems and turn them into some kind of a comic book series. It's not even pointing to real situations in a realistic way, with no one coming forward from the political side, in my view, that shows any kind of a solution. So probably a long-winded answer. It is certainly a passion of mine, and it's certainly upsetting to me that so many people are living in the matrix and not seeing through it.
Well, everything you talked about needing what is true brings me back in my mind to your expertise in real money, in the actual, in gold and silver and precious metals. Can you just underscore one more time for our listeners why precious metals are true money and why they are an example of something that is true, despite whatever all the rhetoric might be or all the propaganda to the contrary?
Sure. Well, I used to sign off most of my interviews I haven't done in a long time with get real, be real, buy real. Get real means, it could take it in several connotations. Get real is like get real with yourself. Quit kidding yourself about the real reality. Do pull back the matrix and take a good hard look at what's really going on. Or get real, when you get real, get real things, you don't need a bunch of trinkets. Get real with what you purchase. Get real with, is this going to really serve me? Is this really going to be beneficial to me? Or is this just something that I've sort of been persuaded to buy because it looked really cool on, the channel I was watching when I was watching this, this show or whatever. So that's part of the get real. Be real is about being real with yourself. I mean, being true to yourself, being true to what's, the reality, again, that we exist in without being, say, brainwashed by the mainstream media with their psychological operations that have been going on for years with the propaganda press. And then the buy real, of course, comes down to metals and other things that are real or needed. So it isn't that, I'm such a silver bug. I'm a silver bug because that's what history teaches. It's not that I decided, silver's the greatest thing out there. No, people have voted through thousands of years of what the best money is. The argument that money could be anything is true. But if you look at what the vote has been, the vote is overwhelmingly silver and gold. That's the vote. That's the real democracy, if you will. That's the lesson to be learned here. It's not that, I think it's cool because it has all these properties or, it's been brought to the attention of others or whatever. No, it's because the vote through history is that those two metals, beyond anything else, have served their purpose as money more than anything you can name by far. And if you look even deeper, silver has done so far more than gold, even though the purists or the gold-centric people, I forget silver and gold's the only answer, which I disagree with, but there are some people out there that believe that. I haven't really looked at the history that strongly because history suggests, or doesn't even suggest, it shows definitively that silver has served as money more places, more times, and has far more transactions for doing business than gold ever has. So that's the reason why. It's that the vote of the people long dead for centuries, have voted and showed us that that's what they've chosen. And it has nothing more impactful than that. It's certainly not, some guy living in, the Northwest, saying that it's certainly what history has spoken loudly and clearly to all of us.
In that historically corroborated truth about the reality and the solidness of precious metals, if someone is still sitting on the fence, they've thought about it for a long time, they haven't started purchasing any silver, that sort of thing, they're concerned about, well, what's the downside risk to them? Certainly they're thinking, I would imagine, that there could be further downward price movement in the short term, but could you kind of set the story straight for people? What is realistically, if you look at a fundamental or long-term downside risk to purchasing physical silver at this time?
Yeah, at this time, I mean, it applies across the board to any commodity. If you can buy a commodity for under the cost of production and have some patience, you're going to make money. You're going to have something of higher value later on than it is currently. So you're buying at a discount. And that's the case for silver right now. The average silver miner that's in production that has all-in costs, including their tax situation, is about $22 an ounce. And you're buying well under that right now. So certainly that'd be a reason. If you want more information, go to silver123.net. That's silver123.net. There's a program there for silver savers. It's very easy to sign up. Takes about 5 minutes. You can allocate a certain amount, like $50 a month, and purchase what you want. It could be bullion, it could be silver eagles, it could be junk silver. You take your pick, and then it's mailed to you, or you could have it stored, which I don't recommend, by the way, but you could. And it's a program for pretty much focused on the little guy. Certainly, if you're a big investor, you could check it out as well. The premiums drop. The more, larger purchase you make, the lower the premium you pay, which is true of any dealer that you work with. But it's something to look at. But I think a little bit, I did a video called, I think it's the greatest myth in the silver market, or something along those effects. You can find it on my Silver Guru YouTube channel. I think it's the greatest myth in the silver market. But it's this idea that most of your bullion coin dealers say everybody should own a little. And I made that into a big fallacy, because not everyone can own a little. It's called precious for a reason. It's very precious, much more than most people believe. And because it's that precious, the idea that everyone can own a little is absurd. No, very few people can own a little, and even fewer can own a lot. And once people wake up, enough people wake up, let's say the 1% that own metals now doubles to 2%. If that were to occur, and I believe it will, and I think it's imminent, or if it's not imminent, it's at least over the next few years, we'll take these prices far, far higher than they are today.
What is, based on your knowledge of above-ground silver availability for investment, what is approximately, if everybody owned a little, how much would each person get in the world?
On a per capita basis, there's roughly 2 billion ounces. There's about 1 billion ounces in physical commercial bars, which is what sets the price. And now with all the minting that's gone on over the last decades, the U.S. Mint, the Canadian Mint, the Australian Mint, Perth Mint, the mints in Europe, and there's about 1 billion ounces in coins. So there's 2 billion ounces. So if you divide that by 7, you have 2/7 of an ounce per person is what you have. And what's interesting is if you look at the U.S. population, of course we're only talking 5% of the world's population, they use about 0.2 of an ounce per person per year. That's just used in industry. That's not, I'm a silver bug, that's in your iPhone, your iPad, your laptop computer, the electricity situation, using switching and all that with silver contacts, and on it goes. So the more technologically advanced a society is, the more silver is used per person without even thinking about it. So 2/7 of an ounce per person would be what it would come out to.
So every person in the world, if everybody owned a little silver, each person would get 2/7 of an ounce currently from what's above ground.
That's right. If you take that same equation to gold, there's about 5 billion ounces of gold in 7 billion people. So then we'll get 5/7 of an ounce of gold per person on the planet.
Well, that's certainly food for thought. Anyone who's reluctant, our channel is Reluctant Preppers, and the idea is that people tend to be very thoughtful, tend to be very deliberate, tend to be very, do their due diligence, who listen to us, and if they've been pondering and thinking and analyzing, is it the right time to set aside some silver? I think some of the facts that you've laid out here will certainly help people to come to their decision. Any further ideas before we let you go, David?
Yeah, just a couple. I'd just like people to sign up for the free e-letter at the website, silver-investor.com. You don't have to sign up for any of the paid reports, but you can sign up for the free letter. It comes out once a week, so we don't swamp you. When you first sign up, you'll be on an autoresponder. You'll get something about every 3 days or so called the 10 Rules of Silver Investing. That's another great free gift for everybody. It tells you how to keep from getting burned in this market, because there are some unscrupulous situations with precious metals that not everyone's familiar with. So, but once that's accomplished, you get a letter once a week. The YouTube channel is Silver Guru, and the Twitter feed is @SilverGuru22. And that's it.
Well, David Morgan, Silver Guru and industry expert, thank you so much for spending your time with us here on Reluctant Preppers.
Dunnigan, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.